Hey guys, this is Nirmal here for Technique, and today we're going to compare two mid-range smartphones, the new Moto G or the Moto G second generation with the ASUS Zenfone 5. So the ASUS Zenfone 5 is already a pretty popular device in India, and we already done the review of this and compared with the first generation Moto G and found it to be pretty good. So now we'll do the comparison of ASUS Zenfone 5 with the second generation Moto G. So that comes with almost similar specs as that of the ASUS Zenfone 5. So let's first talk about the specs of these two devices. So first let's see the Moto G, the second generation. So this has a 5-inch HD display, so this is increase in size from 4.7 to 5-inch now, and it has a quad-core Snapdragon 400 chipset, and it comes with 1 GB of RAM, and it runs Android 4.4 KitKat. So that's the latest version of Android. Then it has an 8 megapixel camera, so there is an upgrade in the camera department from the 5 megapixel camera to the 8 megapixel, and there is also LED flash. There is a front facing camera on this device as well, and it has 16 GB internal storage. So there is no 8 GB version anymore, so there's only one version, that's the 8 GB 16 GB variant, and it also has a micro SD card support. So that's another important aspect of this device. So finally Moto G comes with SD card support. So that's almost the same specs of the ASUS Zenfone 5, so which has also a 5-inch HD display, and it runs on an Intel Atom dual core processor, which is pretty fast, and it has 2 GB RAM. That's first of its kind on a mid-range smartphone, the 2 GB RAM. Then it has a 8 megapixel camera with LED flash. It comes in 16 GB and 8 GB storage variant. So 8 GB variant is pretty cheap at 9,999, and the 16 GB variant is priced very close to the Moto G second generation. And it also has Android 4.3 Jelly Bean with Zen UI on top of it. So Zen UI is a custom UI from ASUS, and it runs Android 4.3 Jelly Bean and not the latest version, although the company has already promised Android 4.4 KitKat coming this month. It has not yet been released. So that's the spec aspect of these two devices. Now let's go into each of these aspects. So first up, let's see the display. So both the devices have 5-inch HD display, and there isn't a real winner here, because you can see both the devices have really good displays. And although the even if you go to sunlight, the ASUS Zenfone 4 is slightly reflective than the Moto G. So in the sunlight readability aspect, we would say we have set the device in auto brightness mode in the sunlight when we tested the sunlight readability, and found that the Moto G has slightly better readability than the ASUS Zenfone 5, but the ASUS Zenfone 5 is not really bad in that aspect. The sunlight readability is slightly better on the Moto G, rest all factors being almost the same. So in the display aspect, there isn't a real winner. Both the devices have really good displays. Now moving on to the software and performance, as you can see here, the UI on the Moto G is almost like stock Android. You don't see much of a difference in the UI, while on the ASUS Zenfone 5 you can see that this is the custom Zen UI, which offers lots of additional features. And you can see the beautiful notification center on the Zenfone 5. So the notification center is much better on the Zen UI, and you can even customize these options, and you have lots of toggles available. But on the core Android you don't see too many options, and that happens in the Moto G. Now if you go to the performance side, you don't see much of a difference. Both the devices have really good performing, and there is no lag whatsoever on either of these devices. So in the performance aspect, even though the Moto G comes with 1 GB of RAM, while the ASUS Zenfone 5 comes with 2 GB of RAM, there isn't really any performance difference. Both are really good in performance, and there is no lag either on the Moto G or the ASUS Zenfone 5 with the Zen UI. So the performance aspect, there isn't much of an issue. Now moving on to the gaming aspect, we have done the gaming test on both the devices. So what we can say that with the 2 GB of RAM, the gaming performance is slightly better on the ASUS Zenfone 5, because when we tested the gaming with high-end graphic on the Asphalt 8, we found that the Moto G had slight lag here and there. So that's not a really big issue, but there was a slight or a hint of lag while gaming. But on the Zenfone 5 we didn't see any such lag. maybe the 2 GB RAM is helping in that aspect. So in the software side, we would say that if you like the core Android, then probably Moto G makes sense. While if you love more features and more customization options, then we would say the Zen UI is really good, because it does offer lots of additional features which are not found on the core Android, and customization options. Even the power management, it does offer lots of power modes to get the better out of your battery, which is probably missing on the core Android. Now moving on to the camera of these two devices, you can see that both the devices come with a 8 megapixel shooter, and both have LED flash. Now if you see the interface, you can see that ASUS Zenfone 5 is a clear winner here, because it offers lots of options like the shooting modes. You have filters, you have a lot of settings to choose from. That is, you can change the camera resolution, you can record videos in 1080p. So a lot of options available in terms of settings. But while on the Moto G, you can see that the amount of features available on the camera is very little. You have a few sets of options for HDR, panorama, video recording, and enabling the location. So that's all in the Moto G. While on the ASUS Zenfone 5, you can see that lots of options available, and there's also filters available. So these are the filters available. So if you like filters, you can just enable them and get better photos than the Moto G. Now coming on to the photo clarity, so both the devices have the exact 8 megapixel camera with LED flash, and we tested the camera quality in various conditions, and we found that when it comes to the color reproduction, the Moto G is the winner here, because ASUS Zenfone 5 had was oversaturating the colors, and the colors were not really closer to the real objects. And while the Moto G had really better camera in terms of color reproduction. But having said that, there are some photos where the ASUS Zenfone 5 was better, but in the overall camera quality aspect, we would say the Moto G was slightly better than the ASUS Zenfone 5. So here we will divide into two sections. The camera, one is the camera UI, where the ASUS Zenfone 5 is a clear winner, and secondly the camera quality. So the camera photo quality, we would say that the Moto G was slightly better than the ASUS Zenfone 5. Now if you are specifically looking for video modes, then the clear winner is ASUS Zenfone 5, because it allows you to record videos in 1080p, while the Moto G records only videos in 720p. So in the camera aspect, we would say that both the devices are really good, and it's a mixture of what you need. If you need more better photos, then get the Moto G. If you're looking for video recording, then the ASUS Zenfone 5 is better. Next up, we will see the battery performance of these two devices. While testing the battery on various conditions, we found that the ASUS Zenfone 5 didn't have that great battery. Probably we have discussed this quite a lot of times, that ASUS Zenfone 5 had a real big issue with battery. Probably we are expecting that with the KitKat rollout, these things would be sorted out. So in the battery department, as of now, with Android 4.3 Jelly Bean on the Zenfone 5 and the Android 4.4 KitKat on the Moto G, we would say that the Moto G has a slightly better battery life than the ASUS Zenfone 5. But things might change once the KitKat update is released for ASUS Zenfone 5. So we'll come back then and then again test the battery performance. But as of now, we'll say that the Moto G has slightly better battery life than the ASUS Zenfone 5. Now finally, talking about the design and build quality aspect, we can say that the build quality on both the devices are really good. Now you can see the design wise, even though both the devices have the 5-inch display, you can see the ASUS Zenfone 5 is bigger than the Moto G, much bigger than the Moto G, because ASUS has given a finish over below the button, so that does give a premium feel to the phone, but that also increases the size of the phone. Now if you go to thickness and the usability aspect, we would say that the ASUS Zenfone 5 is slightly better to hold, because the Moto G has a curvature at the back, and the thickness extends, thickness increases towards the center portion, while on ASUS Zenfone 5, even though it has a curved display, we would say that this is better to hold in hand. So on the hardware front, you can see both the devices have the same set of buttons, the power and the volume keys. The 3.5mm audio jack sits on the top, and at the bottom you have the micro USB charging slot. And probably one good advantage of the Moto G is that the speakers are on the front, so it has a dual front facing speakers, while on the ASUS Zenfone 5 you can see the speakers at the back. So if you listen to music, then probably the Moto G would give you a better output quality when you're placing placing the phone on the table. So that in that aspect we could say that the speaker quality might be better on the Moto G. In the design aspect, we would say that design and build quality aspect, we would say that both devices are really good, but usability aspect, we would say the Zenfone 5 is slightly better than the Moto G. So that's with the detailed comparison of the Zenfone 5 with the Moto G second generation or the new Moto G. So the 16 GB variant of these two devices are priced exactly the same. That's around 12,900, and you can buy it from Flipkart. The ASUS Zenfone 5 is currently out of stock on Flipkart, while the Moto G you can pick it directly from Flipkart. So that's the detailed comparison of Zenfone 5 with the new Moto G. If you have any specific queries, just drop a comment and we'll be glad to help you out with your queries. If you like this video, do hit the like button, subscribe to YouTube channel for more updates, and thanks for watching this video.